Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jide, and I'm here in Shadwell in in East London today, and I am joined here today by Ivo Mosley. Ivo, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Welcome. Thank you very much for talking to me. Uh, the first question I wanted to ask you, because this is all based on the Battle of Cable Street. The first question is, what were the British Union of Fascists?
Well, I think they were probably coming together of various different fascist groups. And my grandfather, who had been a Conservative MP and then a Labour MP, and then he formed something called the New Party. And so he was kind of gradually moving towards a more kind of totalitarian fascist mentality. And then when he saw what was happening on the continent, he got a kind of well, I was going to say, well, you can always edit this out, but sort of metaphorical hard on. Is that terrible to say that? And he thought, I want to be a fascist leader too. So he formed the British Union of Fascists, bringing them all together. And because he already had a kind of a, um, a sort of presence on the political stage, and he quickly became a leader with an awful lot of followers. And they proposed very simple incredibly unpleasant solutions to problems that were quite complicated, and they were definitely the wrong solutions. And thank God they didn't happen here.
That sounds really good. As it must have been, the events must have been quite, very huge, in the East End. Uh, how were the BUP, oh sorry, the BUF, like towards communities, in East London?
Well, very brutal and aggressive, and very and blaming them for. It's like so many things that are going on today. Trump blaming the Mexicans, or a lot of stuff going on in Europe as well. Um, they were incredibly aggressive, and around here was a sort of classic immigrant arrival place. So it was terribly quickly changing constitution. I mean, at one point there were masses of Jews here, and then shortly after, lots of Bangladeshis, and then lots of. So it was always changing all the time. I don't know who's here now. I don't know who's. But perhaps a big Afghani community here. I just don't know. But yeah. So that's why he picked on here, but particularly the anti-Semitism. He was then he was trying to sort of ride on a wave of anti-Semitism. But as I say, luckily in England, it was inappropriate. We just they weren't people weren't having it. So something to be said for that. Yeah.
That's really good. Um, why did the BUP target, the East End, and what was their clear motives to cause both division and introduce racism as part of their way of life towards the multinational
Mm.
population in that part of the region?
Well, I think it was very simply because he had seen it work in not so much in Italy, because I think actually that Mussolini was not so. He certainly wasn't anti-Semitic to begin with, Mussolini, but he'd seen it work in Germany, and Germany was the kind of going thing. 1936, Hitler came to power in 1933, so Mosley was somebody with a lust for power. That was what he was after, and he saw it working in Germany, and he thought, oh, perhaps we can get it working over here. And it was, yeah, immigrants and anti-Semitism. He was,
Well, that's that, as you know, and I think I know as well. I think both of us can probably agree on that. The East End of London today, surely now is a very diverse community.
mm.
But just going back to Cable Street a little, I wanted to kind of bring you back, or bring you up like slightly 36 years or possibly so later, to the Battle of Lewisham,
Oh yeah.
which occurred in 1977.
Mm.
And what was it? Obviously, that one involved the community, which was made up of Afro Caribbeans and Asians, etc.
Mm.
Which, which were against the National Front, taking over.
Hmm.
And like following on from that period, to where we are now here in the 21st century, racism has gone up rapidly. Not just in the UK but mainly here in the capital as well. Like with a lot of racial hate crimes that have happened over the last 27 years or so, and also institutionalized racism, also coming under very sharp scrutiny, and that being at the hands of the police. Do you believe that race relations are starting to improve or have possibly improved, or do you believe that they have, or they are worsening at the moment?
Well, I would have thought that they've definitely improved. Like I was telling one of the other people about how in the Notting Hill riots, I was right in the thick of it, and a coachload of police turned up, and they were making National Front signs on the windows. Well, I mean, I don't think that would ever. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think it would ever happen now. I think race relations have really improved since then. And I don't want to say they're, wonderful. I mean, there's a huge amount of difficulties. I think the difficulties are very, very hard to tackle because they're more in terms of people's attitudes. And I'm probably not the right person to talk to about this, because just being white, you don't come across. But I do think that what you're saying about is true about since Brexit. All these kind of ugly people are coming out of the woodwork, and asserting themselves, and they feel justified in making their kind of ugly opinions known, and maybe even in taking action sometimes too. Yeah, but I don't. And honestly, I've got no idea or opinion, how that's going to pan out. I think things will start getting better. I mean, England's had waves and waves of immigrants ever since the British Isles, as you say, rather than immigrants, because people kind of flee from the continent and they end up here, and just because some of them happen to be, well, in the 30s it was Jews, and now it's it was blacks, and now it's Muslims. I mean, but everyone gets muddled up in the end in England, and we're all sort of I think that's what happens here. But I hope, really hope so, and then we all learn to accept each other. Hope, yeah, fingers crossed. What do you think?
Well, I couldn't agree with you, any more better than that, and I hope that things, that relations, will improve in like years to come, because of what's happened over the last few years, as I've mentioned. Ivo Mosley, it was a pleasure, speaking to you. Thank you very much for talking to me.
Thank you very much, and it's been a pleasure speaking with you too. It's been a good time.